Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video, and with apparently the fantasy meta ending in a couple days. I don't have as much time as I would normally have to test out Gabiru and the free-to-play Soe, so we're going to record them, and this is going to pretty much be blind, because I have not used either of them. I've leveled them up, I've awakened them, I've gotten his gear done, and I have never once put him on a team except in the back line to grind the story event stage, of which he never comes out. So I have never actually used this Gabiru, so we're going to learn together. Maybe you've used him already and you have a better idea of what he does than I do. Whoop-de-doo. We're going to find out. So he is a physical, he is wind, interesting enough. He has defense growth, so he's not going to hit the highest numbers. Let's just put that out there right now. He is not a damaging unit. He is there for utility. So he's got his... Apparently this is a hammer. So, his skills: single target wind attack, 470% normal damage, increases guard penetration for 2 turns by 15%. So, I don't know if you've played the new, Beatdown battle with Jinfreet, but he doesn't have guard. So, it's kind of a useless side effect, but whatever. First skill: increases World of Fantasy and Tempest Elite Force characters' ult gauge by 20%, and also lowers crit resistance. So this acts kind of like what the Wind Trainee did for the Fount of Wisdom team, where it was able to give additional ult gauge out of turn, and just allow you to build up more and more and more to get to those EX ults, which is obviously what we want to do here. So, and then decreasing crit resistance works with this team because Frey is giving crits, Milim is doing crit damage, so that's the only other way to, increase your crit damage at that point, is to lower their resistance to it. His second skill is a single 1 orange to 1 green orb change, so in case you don't have the light Reamer or Xion, you do at least have one unit that can take advantage of this. Valor trait, 2 combo, you nerf green gauges by 10%, which actually could be useful in this meta of Valor Cup this season because it's focused on making a full hand of greens turn 1. So, I mean, it might be useful. Maybe I'll take him in. And then his actual trait is pretty ass. 4 combo of greens increases his own guard rate by 9%. I'm still not banking on that. So it's pretty whatever. So let's go into the current beatdown battle first with the, I guess, full meta team, and we'll try them out. Alright, we're going to go into EX1 of the beatdown battle. Frey, Gabiru, Xion, Water Xion, because she's buffing, and then Alice and Milim are in the back for our pretty primary DPS here. Gabiru will be able to buff the gauges of 3 of these units, not Xion, because she's not on Tempest Elite. At least I don't think she's on Tempest Elite. No, she's only on Summer Memories, so she will not be getting any buff. She'll not be getting crits, she won't be getting the secret skill gauge. She can get the water buff, which is going to go onto Alice and Milim, and that's about it. So let's go ahead and try it out, I guess. And I'll see you guys in there. No, actually no. Hands are set. We don't have to worry about that. Doing showcases on old stages is terrible, because they're not set hands, and you're at the mercy of resetting until you get something decent turn 1. I really wish they would go back and change those. Okay. Massive magic power approaching. Jinfreet. So, turn 1, we, instead of using Xion's single orb change, we're going to use Gabiru's orb change. Do they do the same thing, though? Skill point increase, and all green gauges by 10%. Okay, so that's a little better, because it's buffing everything. So let's do this. Let's get Water Xion out of here. Yeah. And then we'll use Milim's single target, or single orb change. And now everyone in the front line will have the extra 60% damage buff that Frey is giving against fire units. So we'll see how much Gabiru hits here. It's not going to be a lot. Just steel yourselves for that sad amount of damage. 55, 74, 11,000. Yeah, he's not attached to a win unit. 2, he's a defense growth. There's not much you're going to really expect from this guy. Okay, so he took 1 hit, the burn. He is the weakest unit here. So now let's go ahead and buff the gauges a little bit. So 20% and then crit resistance down. Let's do that skill. So there's extra gauge right there. It helps everybody. Crit resistance down for 1 turn is on Jinfreet. And now, I think what we'll do is we'll use Shion's Orb Change, as we're still attempting to stack up as many skills to get Milim's damage as high as possible. And then I think we'll swap him out. I mean, technically, we could use another Orb Change. We could use Milim's Orb Change right here and call it good. And then we'll get him out of here for Alice. Yeah, and then we'll use Frey. So we don't have Isis here, who's giving that huge buff to the greens, 50%. So it's going to be kind of difficult to get some gauges here. Like, we're going to get an ult for Xion and Milim. That's great and all, but we don't have another Frey, right? So that's not the greatest thing in the world. So we're going to have to pray that next turn we get some decent luck. But we're now doing 20k damage. You know, crit damage combined with the crit resistance down is looking pretty good. Alice took the hit, which is fine. And now we're going to get both of you out of here. I think we'll get you in first for Xion. Hers isn't as important, so let's go ahead and use, I think, her buff. And then we'll swap her out for Gabiru. Alright, so this works out. So let's do this. Does it work out? It does, but we can't use the additional gauge. So we'll go ahead and just use his orb change. So more gauge increase right here. And then we'll get Milim out of here. And then I'll leave the 2 blues, which will give us enough to use Alice's orb change for another full hand of greens. So these are still buffed, technically, with damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think Alice will do more, even though she's only level 84. She has type advantage. Yeah, she has type advantage. Okay. So this should get her ult as well. Good. And we have Gabiru's ult. Yeah, why not? It's a showcase. We'll use him. So we're not gonna have the water buff on Milim though, because we're gonna leave Gabiru up here. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. So let's see what we can do here. Let's use the Pierce buff. Let's use the crit damage buff. This is the 4th turn. Actually, we can do one more thing, so let's do that. Let's give ourselves the crit. And then let's give us the extra damage. No, extra ult gauge and crit resistance down. And then we'll do the extra crit damage. So this will be 55% extra crit damage right now on Milim, which will be pretty good alongside the crit resistance. So let's send Gabiru first to see how much he does, just as a baseline. And then we'll send the others, and Milim will probably kill here, because this is not EX3. So Gabiru, let's watch his ult. It's a very entertaining ult. Getting run over by a roller coaster coon as a suicide attempt into Jinfreet. So it's pretty funny. And he's just freaking out. How much damage you do here? 34,000. That's not great. We're not going to sugarcoat that. That's not great. But again, he is not a damage-focused unit. He is here to orb change and is here to push ults for the other units, which is good. So Alice, 57,000, and then Milim, not with the EX ult. So we're not going to do maximum power, but she does have the Pierce buff. She does have crit. She does have crit damage. This will still do a decent amount of damage right here. What are we looking at? 200k? 170, and we actually didn't kill. Surprising. But that did. Okay, so the 200% orb still managed to do it with 81,000. So 170k on Milim. It's not the greatest, but we were missing that big time 50% water damage buff as well. So, okay. Gabiru, I mean, did he serve a purpose there? Yes. Could I still have accomplished the entire thing without him? Yes, because instead of just forcing 20% ult gauge, we would have brought Isis and used the green buff, and that would have given us 3 turns of massively buffed greens. And we still would have had the orb change turn 1 because we have Xion there. Or Rimuru, whoever you have. But if you don't, yeah, he can substitute in. It's just that he is not really going to contribute to your final damage. And 20% on his gauge is cool, but you got to use that quite a bit to actually give Milim meaningful ults. Like, if you're trying to rush Milim's EX ult, you're going to need a bunch of her orbs alongside that 20%. It was different with the Fount of Wisdom team because you had 8 turns to do it, to use training over and over and over again and just push the 35% that Trainee gave onto Hinata or onto Rimuru. And you had a lot of time to do it. You have half the time, or actually you have less than half the time, because you really only have 3 major turns to do it. And otherwise he's going to kill you, because he has ridiculous amounts of damage. So, yeah. Is he good for free-to-play players? Let's test him out in a few other scenarios. Alright, next test. He's a free-to-play unit. You have acquired him. Maybe he's not 120, and maybe the rest of the team isn't maxed out either. But you're a new player, you need to beat Conquest to get some ores for your gear. So we're going to use a team that is available in the general pool mostly, besides, Trainee and Hinata. But Cabby, general pool, Gabiru's free-to-play, Windmill's an OG unit, Hakuro's an OG unit, Butler Veldora and Maid Valentine came out in the same meta back in December of 2021, so they've been around for a hot minute. So this is going to be EX Conquest Cabby. So we're going to use Cabby on Cabby. And we're going to try and buff those greens that both Gabiru and Valentine and Veldora are going to be able to change, and we'll see how we can run. Now, the only major flaw I see with this team is that we have Veldora, who's doing 2 orange to 2 green. We have Gabiru, who's doing 1 orange to 1 green. And then we have Valentine as the only one who's going to be able to change a blue. And it's only 1 blue. So, kind of unfortunate there, but I'm sure it will work out just fine, because if you don't know the power of Cabby, he runs really well. So, let's see. Let's get Hakuro in here for Milim. Let's go ahead and send these blues right here. So we'll compare damage right now. See, Valentine 35, 32, and then the guard at that, so it doesn't really count. Okay. Alright, so the greens, you can see, are nerfed on this stage, which can be unfortunate. It is not something we really need to worry about, though. The damage, maybe, but the actual concept of green orbs once you use Cabby is hilarious, because you might not do, you're only going to do 20% of the normal damage, but this gauge decrease by 80% is actually not, because Cabby buffs it by 150, so you're still getting quite a hefty chunk of change right there. So let's go ahead and use that, and this is a good hand, because we can use both Gabiru and Veldora to change these. So let's use the one here, and then we'll bring Veldora in for Hakuro since he has no orbs. And then we'll use his orb change, and then you can see just the amount of gauge we get from these technically nerfed greens. Like alt, max points, another Cabby. It's just that the damage you're going to do in these orbs is pathetic. Yeah, 400, 200. It's not great. But now you have alts, which you can do damage with that. And we have points. So, unfortunately, his second skill, or his first skill technically, this alt gauge increase, does not apply to anybody on this team, because, let's take a look at it real fast. The only units that are on the Tempest Elite, right here, is Gabiru, the other free-to-play Gopta that came out for Fount of Wisdom, and Grand Admiral Diablo. And that is a very interesting pick right there. Like, why isn't it every Diablo? Maybe not like the OG Diablo, because maybe he wasn't, a servant at the time, but I think every other Diablo you would consider elite, right? Gopta, yeah, sure. Gabiru, I mean, he's the one doing it, so there's not a lot of units that are going to benefit from this Tempest Elite part of that. It's really going to be the World of Fantasy side. Not that that's, really that big a deal, but I digress. So Okay, this works out. So let's just do the same combination again. So now we have a full hand right here. And now let's swap out Gabiru for Hakuro, since he's our other single target damage dealer. And perfect. So, yes, perfect. So we can do this orb change right here. And then we'll have all this. We're going to leave the Valentine ult. Let's go ahead and use Cabby again, because he is raising our skill cap every time by 40. And we're going to get that again. Well, maybe not, because it's not a full hand of greens, but 77 points is still a decent amount for being 80% lowered. Not really. So, here's that. He's going to heal a little bit here, but we haven't gotten him down to that critical range where he does like 3 heals in a row. Here's yet another turn where we could use the orb changing from everybody, so we might as well do that. Except we don't have enough points, so never mind. I think turn 8 is when he loses his defense, and we do need a Hakuro ult, so I guess we'll just push that here. We do have Windmillum's ult buff, so, and then we can also use Hakuro's defense down and 30% crit chance or something like that. It's not great. It's not the hero. It's not Fire Millum, and it's definitely not Frey. But it could get the job done. And then you could combine that with Gabiru's skill that at least lowers crit resistance, right? No one's going to get the extra ult gauge, but the enemy will get the crit resistance down. So, okay, turn 7. So, let's make sure that we have orbs to bring in for... let's just make sure Millum is here. Yeah, so we'll do this. And then we will send these 2 greens right here. 164 points. It's not like we have a whole bunch of buffs right here. That's okay. We got natural oranges. That's nice. So now, let's go ahead and use the ult buff. Her own crit damage goes up, but that doesn't matter because she's not going to stay here. And then we'll bring Gabiru in for Millum, who definitely has the orb that we saved for her, which is good because we would not have gotten another one. And swap her out. Let's use the... defense down by 29% and crit rate by 30. Okay, so it wasn't nearly as good as I thought it was. It's also not maxed out. Whatever. So there's that. So if we do happen to crit, because we're now going to use Gabiru's crit resistance down, we will do additional damage. And he does, up his own ult gauge, technically, which, whoop-de-doo, I guess. We'll use Cabby again for funsies. And then we'll see what we can do here. So let's go ahead and send... Valentine, then Gabiru, then Hakuro, and see how much damage. And if we can crit, then that'd be really great. Valentine, 31,000, no crit. Gabiru, 30,000, no crit. And Hakuro, 57,900 with the crit. Okay, so someone was able to benefit from Gabiru's skill. Not everybody, but somebody. And that allowed us to kill. Would we have killed without the crit? Probably, because we still had 3 more orbs to come in that were... they weren't really buffed, but his defense was lowered. So, I mean, it worked. It worked. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but he can sit on the Cabby team as a orb changer and run. He's giving extra gauge as well on that, so... Alright, let's Let's try him on that Tempest Elite team, right? That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so I thought I was onto something, alright? Font of Wisdom Diablo leads Fount of Wisdom and Primal Demon. Dark Diablo is a Primal Demon. He's also on Tempest Elite, right? Right? No. Grand Admiral Diablo is not on Primal Demon. He is only on Tempest Elite, which I think is now the biggest flaw of the Forces meta right now, or at least the introduction of Forces, is that it's very, very inconsistent. Diablo is a primal demon, like, flat out, period. Like, he's a primordial. Why is not every iteration of Diablo on Primal Demon? That would have opened up so many team building options. It would have allowed us to use this team in the way that I wanted it to. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. At least not right now. They said they will add forces to old characters, as they have shown to do with, the fantasy team, Shion, Alice, Rimuru, Shizu, Maid Maru, that whole shebang. They need to do that with other people, and they need to do it in a more generalized fashion. I'm still going to run this team, though, because we're going to try and do funny things. Again, this is not a good team, so I'm not going to take him into a hard event. This is EX Ifrit Conquest, right? Diablo. Gabiru, who is going to at least buff the alt gauges of Diablo, and Gobta, who is going to be our primary DPS unit, because he is Water, Fount of Wisdom. Right? Just run with it, okay? I know it's shit. Shuna is here as backup. Single target, alt damage, orb changer. Diablo, here because he's funny. Gobta's here, we know why. And then Water Rimuru to cover the other side of the blue orbs. So, let's take a whack at it, I guess. Oh, we need stamina. Oh, no. I've kind of been hoarding potions, preparing for the Half Annie, and whatever would come during that time. We also still need Jubilee this month, which it's only halfway through the month, and we're going to get a new meta in 2 days, so... my calendar, my internal body clock, my game calendar in my head is very, very thrown off right now, so I don't know what to expect the next maybe 2 months or so, because not just this month, but next month. It's like, we're starting a new meta so early. What is that going to look like? Are we going to shift now and new metas start halfway through the month instead of the last week of each month? I don't actually know. And this would actually have been a pretty good hand if I had the points to do anything with it. But let's go ahead and, because Gobta is the star, let's take Shuna out. Let's bring him in. And, yeah, we'll just do that. I need some blues. Alright. Wow. Obviously, Ifrit does not have a lot of health. This stage used to be kind of difficult. Used to be. Alright. Actually, let's do some alt gauge, right? Everyone's up here. Let's do it. Boom, 20%. So much right there. And then next turn, hopefully we get some blues. Okay, well, that works, I guess. We have points now to do it. So, Diablo is a orb changer to greens. Gabiru is an orb changer to greens. It's not really helping this team out very much now, is he? I mean, we could orb change, we could. I think we would lose the purpose of it, though. So, let's get Gabiru out, because you are very low HP. I'm just realizing that now. That's not great. Let's do that. Let's do the green. We'll bring Shuna in for the oranges. And then we'll be okay. We're not going to get alts, really. We'll get Gobta's ult at the very least. So that's a plus. And then maybe we could use Gabiru next turn to push Diablo's ult, because he's very close. I don't know if he's within that 20% range, but he is very close. Okay, cheeky counter, why not? This might hurt Diablo a little bit, more than a little bit. Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right, we can do Diablo. I haven't watched him in a while since his meta came out, so let's go ahead and watch him simp on all of the Rimurus as I hold my Rimuru body pillow. Yep. Okay. No blue orbs. That's great. But what we could do is, we could use Diablo and Gabiru's orb change. That could work, right? Except we have another orange incoming, so it wouldn't actually work. So, what do we do here? Let's bring you in for... What does this do again? Wind attack by 30, pierce power by 15. Alright, well... Cool, we can buff Gabiru's wind attack. Alright. If he even gets an ult and doesn't die from this. So, does this get us Diablo's ult? It does. Alright, so that's good right there. Now you have to go away, though. So... Yeah, not much to do here. Not much to do. We are type neutral against Ifrit, who is critting, who is ulting. If he gets hit again, he's gonna die. Alright, good. We could steal right here. This will get us, you know, a bit of points because it's been buffed twice now. Yeah, okay. I guess we're going to have to force Gabiru's ult the hard way? Or not. Or we're just going to have to run away. Alright. Yeah. It's totally working, guys. Trust me, I'm an expert at this game. I know what I'm doing. This team will work. Okay, now that we're done taking ults, we shouldn't be dying here. But if I get... He's going to counter me. Watch, he's going to counter me. Or he didn't, but he just AoE'd. Okay. Alright. Well. Did he serve his purpose? Was he a worthy sacrifice? Sure. Why not? Let's use one more stack of Diablo. He did help us get Diablo's ult, which we're going to use right now, before we use anything else. You know what? I haven't seen this one in a while either. I kind of forget what he does. Oh, is it the skull? No, it's the white Nova from How Not to Summon the Demon Lord. Or Painted White, sorry. Copyright infringement right there. 19,000 damage. Worth it. Totally worth it. 49,000. Alright, that's a little better. Okay, so Gabiru can run on a very, very basic green-focused cabbie team, and he can work there. Definitely can work there. He can run on, obviously, the new fantasy team. He's meant to be. Kind of, yes. Can he be run with anything else? Not really. Other wind-focused teams are blue, right? Hinata is blue-focused. Yeah, he's kind of not the greatest thing in the world. Let's not beat around that bush. So I think we're gonna call that because I'm already tired of using him. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. But that's it from me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you later.